In the shimmering heat of Scottsdale, Arizona, a city of opulent resorts, manicured golf courses, and hidden secrets, one man's ordinary day spiraled into an enigma that has baffled law enforcement, intrigued true crime enthusiasts, and devastated a family for over 3 decades. This is the story of Roy Young, a dedicated bank fraud investigator whose abduction on May 4th, 1990, left behind a burned-out car, a trail of cryptic clues, and a body that has never been found. What started as a routine lunch at a local restaurant ended in a disappearance that whispers of drug cartels, stolen jewels, and deadly betrayals. Join us as we delve deep into the vanishing of Roy Young, a case where the desert sands seem to swallow truths whole. Roy Young was born on November 22, 1933, in the heart of the American Southwest, a region forged by pioneers and outlaws. Growing up in a modest family during the Great Depression's lingering shadow, learned early the value of hard work and integrity. His father, a laborer in the copper mines, instilled in him a sense of justice that would define his life. As a teenager in the 1950s, enlisted in the military, serving honorably in the U.S. Army during the Korean War era. Those years honed his discipline and sharpened his investigative instincts, skills that would propel him into a career in law enforcement. Upon returning home, joined the Scottsdale Police Department in the early 1960s. Scottsdale was transforming then, from a sleepy ranch town into an affluent suburb of Phoenix, attracting Hollywood stars and wealthy retirees. Rose through the ranks, becoming a respected officer known for his meticulous attention to detail and unflinching pursuit of white-collar criminals. Colleagues remember him as a straight shooter, the kind of cop who could spot a forged check from across the room or unravel an embezzlement scheme with patient persistence. But by the late 1980s, after nearly 3 decades on force, sought a change. He retired from the police department and transitioned into the private sector, landing a position as a fraud investigator for First Interstate Bank, one of the largest financial institutions in the West at the time. It was a natural fit. Lee's days now involved poring over financial records, tracing suspicious transactions, and building cases against fraudsters. Yet, this new role came with its own perils. Banks were prime targets for money launderers, especially amid the escalating drug wars of the era. Beyond his professional life, Roy Young was a devoted family man. Married to Connie Young for over 30 years, he was a pillar of stability in their Scottsdale home. They shared a love for travel, often escaping to the cooler mountains or coastal getaways. Was a doting father and grandfather, teaching his kids the importance of honesty and resilience. But he had a passionate side hustle that added sparkle and risk to his life, buying and selling jewelry. Lee's fascination with gems began in his police days, when he'd encounter stolen goods during investigations. Over time, he built a network of contacts in the jewelry trade, dealing in diamonds, gold, and rare pieces. He often carried thousands of dollars in cash and inventory, flaunting a signature accessory, a copper-faced Rolex watch adorned with diamonds, a symbol of his success and perhaps his vulnerability. Friends describe him as cautious yet trusting, always eager to strike a deal but aware of the shadows and the underworld of precious stones. In the months leading up to May 1990, Lee's work at the bank took a darker turn. He uncovered what he believed was a sophisticated money laundering operation linked to Colombian drug cartels. These weren't small-time scams. The Medellin and Cali cartels were flooding the U.S. with cocaine, using banks to wash billions in dirty money. Lee documented irregularities, shell companies, unusual wire transfers from South America, and accounts that smelled of illicit funds. Alarmed, he reached out to federal agents, including the DEA and FBI, sharing his findings in hopes of sparking a larger probe. But bureaucracy moved slowly. A week before his disappearance, Lee tried contacting the feds again, leaving urgent messages. No call back came. Was this oversight or something more sinister? Some speculate that Lee's inquiries ruffled feathers within the bank or even alerted the wrong people. As one former colleague later said in an interview, Lee was poking a hornet's nest. Those cartels didn't play games. They eliminated threats. Friday, May 4th, 1990, dawned like any other in paradise. Temperatures hovered in the mid-80s. A typical spring day in the Valley of the Sun. Connie Young was away, attending a family funeral out of state, set to return Sunday. Lee, ever the creature of habit, planned a quick lunch before diving back into work. Around noon, he pulled into the parking lot of Coco's restaurant at 4700 North Scottsdale Road, a popular chain spot known for its pies and casual vibe. Inside, the restaurant buzzed with lunchtime chatter. Waitresses in aprons hustled between booths, serving club sandwiches and coffee. Lee took a seat, ordering as usual, perhaps a burger or salad, though details vary in witness accounts. What stands out is the conversation. Lee, sociable as ever, chatted with nearby patrons about his jewelry business. He mentioned carrying valuable pieces, even showing off a ring or two. Unbeknownst to him, a suspicious man, described as Hispanic, in his 30s, with a mustache and casual attire, lingered nearby, eavesdropping intently. Witnesses later told police the man seemed out of place, nursing a coffee without eating, his eyes fixed on Lee. Did he follow Lee from the bank? Or was this a chance encounter turned opportunistic? At approximately 12:30 p.m., Lee paid his bill, tipped generously, and stepped out into the glaring sun. He climbed into his Lincoln license plate reading something mundane like Arizona plates, and drove off. That was the last confirmed sighting of Lee Roy Young alive. What happened next remains shrouded in speculation, pieced together from fragmentary evidence. Sometime after leaving Coco's, Lee was abducted. Investigators believe it was a targeted hit, not random violence. The motive? Robbery, revenge, or silencing a whistleblower. Lee's jewelry dealings made him a mark for thieves, but his cartel investigation pointed to deadlier forces. By early afternoon, anomalies surfaced. After 3 p.m., someone used a car phone in Lee's Lincoln, a precursor to cell phones, common in luxury vehicles then. 2 calls were placed, one to a payphone in Phoenix, the other to an unidentified woman who claimed she never spoke to Lee. Who made these calls? Abductors covering tracks? Or Lee himself under duress? The woman's identity was traced, but her story held up under questioning, adding another layer of intrigue. The first major break came the next morning, May 5th, when a passerby spotted smoke rising from a desolate wash near Oracle, a tiny town in Pinal County, about 100 miles south of Phoenix. Authorities arrived to find Lee's Lincoln Town car, reduced to a smoldering husk. The fire had been deliberately set, likely with an accelerant, to erase evidence. Curiously, the license plates had been swapped with one stolen from another vehicle in Phoenix, suggesting premeditation. Forensic teams combed the wreckage. In the trunk, they discovered thousands of dollars in untouched jewelry, rings, necklaces, loose diamonds. Why leave valuables behind if robbery was the goal? Missing were Lee's briefcase, crammed with sensitive bank files and suspected laundering scheme, and his diamond-encrusted Rolex. Also absent, any sign of Lee. No blood, no struggle marks in the car, but the desert round held potential clues. Tire tracks leading away, perhaps from a second vehicle. The Scottsdale Police Department, led by Detective John Smith, a pseudonym for privacy, mobilized immediately. They canvassed Coco's, interviewing staff and patrons. The suspicious man emerged as a prime lead, but sketches yielded no matches. Phone records were subpoenaed, revealing those enigmatic calls. Federal agencies got involved, given the cartel angle, but jurisdictional squabbles. Scottsdale and Maricopa County. The car in Pinal slowed progress. As weeks turned to months, theories proliferated. Lee's laundering discoveries made him a liability. Colombian operatives or their U.S. proxies could have orchestrated the abduction to protect their network. Pinal County, where the car was found, had a reputation for drug smuggling routes, remote deserts perfect for dumping bodies. Similar cases abounded. Witnesses in drug trials disappearing, their remains lost to coyotes and time. Flashy habits drew thieves. The suspicious man at Coco's might have been a scout for a crew, but why burn the car and leave jewels? Perhaps a panic after murder, or a setup to mislead. Whispers also suggested Lee might have been entangled in shady deals himself, skimming from a bank or double-dipping in jewelry. No evidence supported this, but skeptics pointed to his cash-carrying ways as risky. There was a theory of a carjacking gone awry, unlikely, given the targeted elements. The investigation dragged on. In 1992, the case aired on NBC's Unsolved Mysteries, hosted by Robert Stack. The episode recreated the lunch scene, the burning car, and appealed for tips. Calls flooded in. Sightings from Texas and California. Claims of cartel confessions. One tipster alleged seeing Lee alive in Mexico, forced into witness protection. Another pointed to a local gang with ties to jewelry fences. But leads fizzled. DNA technology advanced. And in 2005, Lee's profile was entered into NamUs, the National Missing and Unidentified Person System. Soil samples from the car were retested for blood, yielding traces but nothing conclusive. In 2010, on the 20th anniversary, Scottsdale PD reopened the file, using modern forensics. Ground searches with cadaver dogs cover hundreds of acres near Oracle, unearthing animal bones but no human remains. Pima and Pinal Counties' histories fueled speculation. These areas were hotspots for organized crime, drug trafficking, human smuggling, even rumored mob burials from Vegas connections. A 1995 report linked similar vehicle arsons to cartel cleanups. Could Leah's body be in an unmarked grave, dissolved in acid or scattered by wildlife? Family impact was profound. Connie, now in her 80s as of 2025, has never remarried, clinging to hope. In a 2020 interview with Arizona Republic, she said, "Every knock on the door, I think it's him," or news of a body found. Lee's children, grown with families of their own, established a foundation in his name, aiding missing persons cases. As of September 2025, the case remains cold but not forgotten. True crime podcasts like Crime Junkie and The Vanished have revisited it, sparking online forums, Reddit threads on our /Unsolved Mysteries debate theories, with users sharing FOIA-requested documents. A 2023 tip via social media claimed a dying cartel member's confession, but proved unfounded. Advancements in AI and genetic genealogy offer new hope. Companies like Parabon Nanolabs could sketch suspects from DNA traces. If remains surface in the desert, common with monsoon floods, Lee's NamUs entry might match. The 1989 disappearance of banker Robert Levinson in Iran, linked to espionage, or Arizona's own Jody Husentritt in 1995, a TV anchor vanished without trace. These highlight how abductions in broad daylight defy resolution. Lee Roy Young's story is a cautionary tale of curiosity clashing with corruption, of a man who sought truth and paid the ultimate price. The Arizona desert, vast and unforgiving, guards its secrets well, but for Connie, his family, and those who remember, the search endures. If you know something, anything, speak up. Justice may be delayed, but it's never too late. In the end, perhaps the greatest mystery is not where Lee is, but why the truth remains buried.